What's going on, everybody? This is Mark with Waist Deep Wade Fishing, Southwest Florida. We're back at it again, and it's about that time of the month to put out the wade fishing report for mid-September. A lot of big changes going on. The winter climate is not here yet, but the water temperatures are dropping. We've been having major storms in the Gulf of Mexico, which is definitely dropping the barometer, which in return is turning on the bite. So today we're going to discuss a couple of my favorite spots, when they're biting, why they're biting, and what they're biting on. So before we go any further, I want to say thank you to everybody out there that's been liking, subscribing, and sharing my channel and helping it grow. Thank you very much. And let's go ahead and jump right into it. Well, we're going to start right here on location, Bokelia Island. 20 years ago, Bokelia Island was something supernatural. You have Jug Creek shoals. Unfortunately, if you're wade fishing and you don't have a kayak, you can't get out to the shoals, even on a low tide. Only in the winter on the negative tides would you be able to walk out that far to fish the shoals. But if you are a wade fisherman, what I'm about to tell you is going to be very, very, very beneficial to you, especially if you want to catch big trout and redfish. So Bokelia Island, the majority of the bites right now are going to be on the moving tides. Now, of course, one of my favorite tides is the dead low, working it to the incoming tide, but that is not necessarily the case right now. Because of the weather and because of the drop in temperature, the fish are biting on any moving water. The big bite, there's not many snook around. You know, I've been coming up here the last couple of weeks now, hunting for them. They're few and far between. I haven't seen many. But the trout and the redfish are on fire. The average size of trout is between 19 and 25 inches. They're big, big trout up on these flats right now. And the majority of them are being caught on a 1/4 ounce to an 1/8 ounce jig head. I use Rockport rattlers, Texas rattlers, or just a regular jig in chartreuse, white, brown, or black. And the type of lure we're using, of course, and it has unprecedented results. The DOA Cal Shad, 3.5 inches, and we've been catching the reds and trout on the chicken on the chain color, white and gold color, root beer and gold with a chartreuse tail, and the grape color or purple demon color with the silver flake and chartreuse tail. That has been it. That has been the ticket. And of course, I always put a little bit of that shrimp sauce by Procure on it. And as far as that flat, I mean, try to find the deeper pockets on the low tide. The deeper holes are where the redfish are going to be sitting. In the deeper channel, outside of those holes, where the sand meets the grass, is where you're going to find the trout. Again, you must have moving water. If the water is stagnant, you're not going to catch anything. Preferably a little bit of wind and a little bit of cover from the clouds. So if you get on down here, from now till May, as it gets colder, the trout bite and the redfish bite is going to get even better. Moving on to the next spot, Sanibel Grass Flats, another one of my favorite haunts. The redfish bite has slowed down. The average redfish bite, redfish size over here at Bokelia is anywhere from 25 to 35 inches, whereas in Sanibel we're looking at 15 inches to 20. A lot of small redfish up on the flat. You want to get there on the outgoing tide to the dead low, work it to the dead low, and then back onto the incoming. On that high tide, I haven't seen much trout, a lot of sharks, a lot of bluefish, and the trout size has really diminished to small. On the average, you may get a 20-incher, but I haven't seen any 24s, 25s. The top water bite has slowed down. The Sanibel Grass Flats will begin to turn up as the bullfish start coming in. Now, it's well known that in September, October, the big bullfish start to make their runs. They start to come in. So that's what we're banking on. We're waiting for a little bit of a cooler temperature. The rain has cooled off the water by 3 or 4 degrees. So therefore, in return, the redfish are starting to chew. As that temperature starts to drop, the bigger redfish are going to come in. The snook are going to go into the backcountry, and the masters of the flat will be trout and redfish. Big, big, big trout. Next spot we're going to talk about, burnt store grass flats, aka the East Wall. It was muddied up for the last couple of weeks because of the storm. This last passing of this tropical depression over in the Gulf has muddied those waters up severely. We are still waiting for those waters to clear up. The reports I'm getting out on the sandbar, a couple of pompano here and there, bonnethead sharks, some bluefish, an occasional tarpon or two, but the redfish and the trout bite is very, very slow. So if you are wade fishing, avoid, burnt store for another couple of weeks till that water clears up. The Bokeelia grass flats and the Sanibel grass flats right now are your best bet for a guaranteed bite. You will catch fish, but the biggest fish out there right now, so far, that I've seen is on Bokeelia Island, and that would be redfish and trout. The next spot we're going to talk about, the beaches. Sanibel Island, there are still a couple of snook in the troughs. It's still warm enough, so the snook will be going up and down the trough lines. If you get there early in the morning on an incoming tide, work the first trough line where the waves are breaking, and hunt for those big female snook. They're pretty much almost all spawned out, so after that, and that water starts to cool down, they'll move to the grass flats, and then from the grass flats, they're going to go back inside to the backcountry, into the creeks, where it's a lot warmer for the colder months. As far as bridges, Mount Lachey, they're still catching a couple of snook off there, a couple of snapper. Bridge fishing is not really my thing. Sanibel Pier, black drum have started to show up in small numbers. They're catching them on crab and shrimp. Sheep's head have not arrived yet. We're waiting for some of those to come in because they are very tasty. They should be here around November, December. Once that water starts to get a little bit chilly, once it hits about, 78, 75, we should start seeing more and more sheep's head out there. Of course, they call that poor man's lobster because they're absolutely delicious. They're crustacean eaters, so they are very, very tasty. Last but not least, we have Bonita Beach, couple of snook, couple of jacks, a couple of trout. Nothing major to discuss there. Seen a couple of fly fishermen out there, spoke with them. They're catching them on white and chartreuse flies, throwing them into the the trough lines, but nothing major. Right now, the hot bite is on Bokeelia. Bokeelia Island grass flats is where it's at right now. If you happen to get a kayak, you can get out to the Rat and Tat Keys in Pineland. Redfish on the outside of the islands, on the incoming tide, hit all the ambush points, all of the bushes, the whole line from Mount Lachey, the whole mangrove line from Mount Lachey all the way up to the east wall, all those mangroves, same thing. If you're throwing lures, work the bushes. I would work those bushes on the outgoing tide, reason being, those redfish are waiting for the shrimp and the crab to get pushed out of the mangroves and push up on the flats. If you are interested in coming out here with me and doing a half-day or full-day session, I have all my information in the description, and it'll be inside this video, where you could reach me. You can message me, DM message me on Facebook, you can message me through a comment in YouTube, and if you want to set something up, we can do half-day and full-day charters. I have that going all through the winter time. Again, it's not just fishing. We're going to be learning what to look for, what type of baits to use, how to work certain lures in certain conditions, what are the telltale signs when you're walking the flat if you have fish that are there, if you need to keep on moving, what tides to be working, what tides not to be working, when is the best time to fish, what moon phases, how to locate areas, using Google Maps. We're going to go through all of that through our private sessions. I do one-on-one sessions. It's just me and you, or me, you, and one other person, and we spend either the half day or the full day together. And pricing varies depending on season and depending on how booked I am. So, with that being said, You can check all that information out in my description. You know, just hit me up and let me know when you want to do it. Give me a call a couple of days in advance to know, you know, if I'm open for that day, and I will pick the perfect day so I can make sure I guarantee you to put you on some fish. All right, guys, this is Mark again. Love you all. Take it easy. Get out in that water. Get yourself a line sider, a redfish, a trout. Stay safe, and I'll see you on the next video.